You are listening to the Lawyer Stories podcast with host Benny Gold. Lawyer Stories was founded in July 2017 and is an expanding global network of lawyers and law students sharing their personal journeys to the noble profession of the practice of law. Join us on this podcast as we dig deeper into these stories and hear from lawyers and law students from around the world in all areas of the legal profession. Here at Lawyer Stories, we believe that every lawyer has a story. What's yours?
Welcome to the Lawyer Stories podcast with Benny Gold. Today we welcome in Marivel Zialcita, attorney and founder of MMZ Law in Claremont, in San Diego, California, practicing estate planning and probate. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, doing great. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So how's everything in California? How's the COVID situation?
I don't know. We're just all trying to stay safe here. So,
Okay.
right. Yeah.
It's the best thing you could do. Were you working at home a little bit or no?
Throughout the last year and a half or so, off and on, and we would do a rotating schedule, and the courts were closed for a little bit, but they're all almost pretty much open now.
Okay.
Just taking precautions,
Yeah, no, definitely. That's awesome. So one of the reasons it's really special to have you on the show today is because you might remember Lawyer Stories we launched July 2017, over 4 years ago already now, 4 years, 2 months. We featured you back April 10th, 2018. Yeah. So that was, I know you've had a lot added to your story, but that was less than a year after we had, founded our little mission, part of my personal journey. And I just want to thank you on behalf of Lawyer Stories for your continued support and being one of the brave first ones within the first year to share your story.
Yeah, of course. That was probably, I think, a little bit over a year into me opening up my sole practice. So
yep.
Yeah, that was amazing.
That's awesome.
Time flies.
Yeah. What's that? Time flies.
Time flies, right?
That's right. Yeah. That's right. So, and I do want to go back to that 2018 story, even though I'm sure a lot has changed. Well, I guess your past hasn't changed, what you wrote about. So let's just start by jumping right in. You began your lawyer story by telling us you decided at 5 years old to become an attorney. Tell us more about that.
I did, yeah. And I think I hear a lot of stories from attorneys, other fellow and colleagues that say they knew very early on that they wanted to be an attorney. But I quite literally was driving in San Diego past my alma mater, California Western School of Law. And I was sitting in the back seat with my parents, and I pointed at the school and I said to my mom, I'm going to go there. I'm going to be an attorney. And they both were like, of course you are, baby. Yep. And so I did.
Really? So what was it about the school? Did it look nice, the bright letters and the
I don't know. I just knew that I wanted to stay in San Diego. I knew that I had, don't ask me how a 5-year-old knew this, but there were maybe 3 choices at the time.
Okay.
Of law schools in San Diego. So I picked one, and that's usually my course of action. I pick something and I go do it. So that's what I did.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's super cool. And you also mentioned in your lawyer story that you realized at a very early on that your parents were professionals and they were in a new land. So I want to know about that, break that down a little bit. And they were working hard to make a better life for their kids. So tell us a little bit about the new land and where you were, I guess.
Yeah, so my parents are both from the Philippines, and they came here separately. They met here in the United States, but they came here separately to just have a better life and be able to support their families back home, and met each other, got married, and then, had me and my 2 brothers.
Okay.
So we're first generation born in the United States.
Wow.
So my parents are very old school thinking and mentality as far as estates and generational planning and things like that. They really were just here trying to make a living and have a better life,
So what did they was it hard for them to get over here, and what were they doing over what I don't want to be what were they doing over here, but what kind of work were your parents?
My dad was a CPA in the Philippines and came over here and had to really start over. So they didn't recognize any of his
Right.
education here. So he really had to start from the ground up, um, and eventually, was able to pass the boards here and worked for Vanguard Industries, a military supply company. He was a
Okay.
controller for them for many years. So he did really, really well, and my mother actually came here with no education and became a banker.
Yeah.
So she went to school and became a bank. And at that time, I don't know that they have it anymore. And I don't know what they turned into, but First Interstate, I don't know if you
Okay.
remember that bank. She became vice president of a regional, Southern California
Wow.
regional for First Interstate. And so they were just both really working to try to make a life here.
Yeah, what I find interesting is you immediately like moved it back to like the estate planning has been very important for your family. Like a lot of people who came from like another place, another land, as you would call it, like they I'm not gonna say a lot of people, just a few people that I've spoken to, like they ended up going into like immigration law or whatnot, because that's like they had maybe some sort of experience with that as a kid and they wanted to do that. And like, but I love like your perspective about it being so important, like the estate side of things, like when you were younger. Like, can you tell me more of that about that?
Yeah, I think because, they say in the Philippines that their biggest export or their largest export are nurses for a
Okay.
reason. So a lot of people or individuals in the Philippines will go around the world, and I'm only speaking about what I know. I know that a lot of different cultures do this, but they go around the world and they send money home, to
Mm,
help take care of their families, their siblings. $1 is like maybe 50 Filipino pesos.
wow.
So a lot of the times I would hear stories growing up of families sending money home, not saving,
Right.
helping people, and which is an amazing thing, but no one planned for themselves a lot of the time. So I saw
Okay.
that for some reason very, very early on, and I
Interesting.
decided that I was going to help families navigate that process.
Oh,
So.
okay. That's amazing. I mean, so you really have, that came from when you were younger. You really have a good life experience and reasons for doing what you do today. So, like, tell us a little bit more about the background. Like, what was your college and law school experience like?
I went to UC Irvine for undergrad, and I started out as criminology, and I quickly switched to sociology with an English minor,
Okay.
and knowing that I was going to go to law school and the writing process and all of that would help me. And I worked for a financial advisor full time, put myself through school that entire time. So
Yeah.
I saw it from a financial background. My dad was a CPA, so from a tax background.
Okay.
My mom was in finance and banking, so I
Right.
just kind of naturally gravitated towards all of that.
Gotcha.
And then when I was in law school, I worked for several different firms, and they all happened to be estate firms. So,
Mhm.
if you talk about guiding forces or whatnot, I think I just kind of all along knew somehow, and because I was exposed to that's where I was going.
Right. So, yeah, no, totally. Like, this is just kind of off the cuff, like, but is there a lot of tax like in estate planning? Can you do like smaller estates that don't, or do you get to like dish the tax stuff off to people? I've personally often wondered that.
For the larger estates, I will always have a team. So there's always going to be,
Okay.
and my clients will, a lot of the times have their own team. So they have their own CPA, they have their own
Okay.
advisors. But I always tell them when I'm doing my initial intakes with the clients, number one, it's always to get to know them and always to get to know what their wishes are, generally in broad perspective as to, what their most important planning needs are, concerns are. And then as I'm going through, I'm always thinking about their taxes. So
Yeah. Yep.
minimizing taxes is one of the major things for
Okay.
their
So you do
beneficiaries.
you do have a good tax knowledge there.
I would
Yeah.
say from an
Yeah.
estate perspective, you just kind of, you know, um, naturally have to learn at least from the estates. And then of course there's nowadays in estate planning, there's income tax planning as well as capital gains issues and all of that. So there's a lot of on top of the estate, on top of the estate taxes and all of that goes into the planning. So
Gotcha. So in your back to your lawyer story, like you stated in your lawyer story that you service your clients under a culture of integrity, and complete workability on your own terms. Like, what does that mean to you? Tell us.
Yeah, so I've been an attorney almost 20 years. And prior to opening up my practice close to 5 years ago, I've only worked actually in a couple of different firms. One a mid-sized firm and one a smaller firm, but never on my own terms, so it's always, you have to plug into their system,
Right.
which was amazing. And I learned a lot, but there are certain aspects of what I do that, I just like to do it the way, or service my clients the way that I feel I'm meant to. So I
Okay.
kind of just make sure that, because it is my own practice now, that that the culture, first of all and first and foremost, is always going to be to work with integrity. There's so many people out there that can take advantage of individuals that maybe don't understand their rights. So it's if they trust me, then it's gonna, we start off on the right foot,
Right.
So yeah.
Do you have like broad examples of like what a client wouldn't trust with an attorney? I mean, don't say any names or anything, obviously.
Say that again. What client?
Like, what wouldn't they trust with a wills and estates attorney?
What would they trust with us?
What wouldn't they trust? Like,
Well,
what would
wouldn't
it be
they
that like
trust?
they find someone like an attorney that wouldn't be working with integrity. Like in your field, what would an example of that be?
So I deal mostly in trust and estates, right?
Okay.
Probate, conservatorship, elder law, and a lot of these individuals, some of them don't have mental capacity. Some of them are, aging. So, and they're very susceptible to individuals out there taking advantage of them.
Right. And
so I have clients that are seniors and, are trusting of various different people that maybe aren't so forthwith with them and stealing information.
And you deal with power of attorney, right? And you've
Mhm.
had, in your personal experience, you actually have the power of attorney for family member, right? That's something that
I do. I
yeah,
did.
you did.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. So that's, I mean, you have like the personal experience, so you've seen it play out.
I do. And actually, the couple firms that I worked for were actually civil litigation corporate firms. And I actually went on my own because of that experience. I was caregiving for my dad and then went for one of my uncles. And I just decided that there were other areas or an extension of what I do, such as planning for individuals that can't plan for themselves,
Right.
that really need an advocate. So that's when I really broke away and decided to create my business plan and my firm under those terms and be able to help, as many individuals as they can. So
that's great. I think that's a great reason, especially when it comes to like family and friends, and so good for you.
And I am court appointed counsel for San Bernardino County, and I act as guardian ad litem for the court over there. So, a lot of my clients that are assigned to me don't have mental capacity. So they really need someone that can advocate to make sure that what's happening around them in the system is for their best interest. The least restrictive alternative measures to accomplish what they need to accomplish for them, for their care and for their needs. So
love it. That's terrific. So back to like law school, just I'm curious, like I know you had a few jobs, like what was your first job like after law school?
After law school?
Yeah, like your first law job. And like what kind of stuff were you doing?
So I think my first law job after law school was actually working I can't remember if I worked actually while I was waiting for my bar results at Santa Ana Child Support Services.
Okay.
So I was putting files for the attorneys as I was waiting for my bar exam. But then I went to a small firm in Rancho Cucamonga, actually out this way in San Bernardino. And the owner of that firm was also the president of the GAN Taxpayers Organization. So it dealt with a lot of taxes. Prop 13, minimizing taxes for properties and making sure that seniors weren't being taken advantage of as far as their property taxes. So
I definitely want to go. Well, I think Rancho Cucamonga would be like a pretty cool place to go sometime. Like,
I remember thinking when I was going to interview, where?
or at least get a T-shirt from Rancho Cucamonga. Like, that would be pretty sweet.
Right.
All right, so that so like, tell us, like, now that you have your own firm, you said you've had your firm for 10 years.
No, 5 years.
5 years, right?
Yeah.
Oh, because it was right after we featured you.
Yeah.
So like, what's it like being an entrepreneur?
You know, I actually didn't realize how much of an entrepreneurial spirit I had, quite frankly.
Okay.
You know, I mean, no one teaches you that in law school at all.
Oh no, they don't. No,
But you know what I
definitely not.
found? That I actually didn't even realize it, but the firms that I worked for while I was in law school, I worked in every single department. I worked as a receptionist, I worked in billing, I worked in research, I worked in, you know, like all aspects of these estate firms. And it really gave me good foundation as to how to create my own firm. And I didn't even realize that. So, but I
That's
saw
great.
what worked and
You
what
picked it up.
definitely didn't work
Yep.
for some people. And I just kind of get to pick and choose and be creative actually as to how to provide services to my clients and how to, you know, present our firm and be creative with other counsels as far as, you know, partnering, you know, things like that. So it's been quite a ride.
Yeah. So what's your favorite and least favorite part of being an entrepreneur and having your own firm?
My favorite is really is by doing things on my own terms.
Being creative. Yep.
Being
Okay.
creative in
Yep.
that aspect. And it just being able to build on that all the time. And then, you know, I get the most random moments with clients, the most intimate moments where maybe a client, you know, half the time doesn't understand what's going on because they have maybe a diagnosis of dementia. But when I have a moment of clarity and they thank you or something like that, it's very, or, you know, fulfilling when I have a client that passed away and their family comes to me and tells me this couldn't have gone any smoother. Thank you so much, you know?
Right.
So,
Nice.
because they're dealing with a death of probably their parent or something like that, right? So that's probably the best part. The worst part is when I'm seeing people take advantage of, and there's a lot of it out there actually. There's only so many people can do. So
Yeah.
luckily, this area of law has a group of amazing attorneys working in this area.
Good bar over there. That's great.
Yeah.
So what would be your advice to anyone thinking of hanging their own shingle and opening their own firm?
I say just go get experience. Go, if you're in law school, go intern somewhere. Go jump in there and see if you actually like it. I don't think that there's anything else out there that could give you that experience. And if you don't like it, then great. Now you know, you know.
Right. So you want to figure out if you like it or not before you jump out and become an entrepreneur. So what about like advice for people trying to decide if they want to go to law school or not?
Deciding if you want to go to law school or
not. Like what is your advice for somebody who's
not the easiest process? It was nice at times. Like, do I remember that far back?
Okay, so what's your advice for? Okay, go ahead.
You definitely, wherever you decide to go to law school, you definitely want to maybe practice closer to home, wherever you want to be. Right. For sure. And don't be afraid to go out there and network and make contacts. That's important in any business, I think, but lawyers in particular. I mean, there's actually not that very many of us out there that, you know, what do you want to do? Do you want to litigate? There's actually a very small group of actual true litigators out there in the world. So wherever regionally you are, go meet them. Don't be afraid as a, you know, first or second year law student or whatever it is, talking to these attorneys and judges and such, because they're the people that are going to be, you know, your mentors. Look for a mentor. Absolutely.
Mentor.
Man,
did you have a mentor?
You know, I didn't have a mentor going into law school. The law school would assign us individuals or, third-year students or whatnot. And then they would, they're amazing at this actually of mixing us with alumni, creating situations where we would have networking events with them and be able
Great.
to, meet them. And they were great about mentoring and such. And then when I decided really truly that I was going to open my own practice, luckily along the way, I didn't burn any bridges and
Yep.
even asked the firm I was working for, hey, can I have some business? Because I know you have a lot.
That's always a good thing, not to burn
Yeah,
bridges. And then,
yeah.
hey, come
It
on, I
is.
didn't burn bridges, and throw me some clients.
Yes, and they absolutely, guess what? Someone did it for them. So it's really,
Yep.
really important.
Right. I know.
Yeah.
That's great. I
And
think
even opposing counsels out there,
Yep.
every day we refer business back and forth, just depending on
Yeah.
what we know our little specialty areas are. So just because you're opposing counsels, I mean, you'll see each other again, probably the next day. So,
Yeah, no, that's
I
amazing.
don't know if I answered your question.
Well, so wait, so you have opposing, meaning like litigation, like you're not just drafting a will or like but this could be
Right.
somebody you might have like a probate case against.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, probate case or a contested conservatorship case, some sort of litigation case.
Right.
We've, litigated elder financial abuse cases, things like that. So
Okay. So like you're doing everything. Like what are you really tell us what your firm's focused on. Really. I know it's everything from like probate and estates and that sort of thing, but
yeah, so it's actually very concentrated in that sense. It's trust and
okay.
estates and anything related to trust and estates. So trust and estates, probate, trust administration and litigation, conservatorship, which is under the jurisdiction of probate. So conservatorship, elder abuse and Medi-Cal asset protection planning. So it's all within, and special needs planning.
Wow.
So I do a lot of special needs planning, but
Okay.
this is the span of what I've been an attorney almost 20 years. So I started with strictly trust and estate cases and clients, and then wills, trust plans, things like that, powers of attorneys, and then it just kind of builds on it.
Yeah, that's great. So like you see these will things like online, you could like download a will and like write your name on it and like that sort of. So like why should somebody out there like go see an attorney rather than grab a online will?
Well, I always tell people, you get what you pay for, right? And if you're drafting documents online, I mean, you actually don't know what you're missing or not missing, or what your intent is. I always tell people the only person actually that knows what your intent was, or hopefully, if they know what they're doing, your attorney has documented what your intent is truly, because you've communicated it and we've drafted the documents and we've kept a working file in our system. If anyone comes back later on, then they're going to come back and they're going to want to talk to the attorney, or they're going to want to subpoena records, or they're going to want to, which I wouldn't give, but they're going to want to depose me or put me on the stand to prove what intent was or whatnot. No one can do that for you when you're gone, other than the documents. So hopefully you get it right, right? And the only way to really do that, I always tell people, don't do that. Just do not go. At the very least, if you have to do that for whatever reason, sometimes it is a monetary thing, right? Some people don't have much and don't want to pay that. So, but at least go to an attorney and have them review it. So,
have them review it. Have them at least review your online template, but don't go get an online template. Go visit an attorney.
Right.
Go visit Marivel.
Yeah.
Okay. So who should only elderly people go to?
No.
Who should go?
I actually tell my younger clients that have kids, minor children, you are the ones that really should go see an attorney about this type of planning, because people always say, I'm going to wait until I have assets or whatnot. What's the most important part of your life? and I'm talking to people about this all the time. Is it your money?
Okay,
Is
I
it your
thought you were.
house?
I thought
Is
you
it
were
your
turning
kids?
the interview around on me, and I was uncomfortable for a split
The
second.
most
Okay.
important part of your
Yes.
life.
Okay. No, but I understand what you're saying. Okay.
Is it your
Right.
family? Majority of the time they're gonna say their children, so if you're not safeguarding your kids, especially
Right.
when they're minors, then what really are you doing in life? Right? That's what I say.
Right.
So
Well, I think that's great advice, and we
yeah.
definitely thank you for that advice. So where do you see MMZ Law in 5 to 10 years?
Interesting, because I'm in the middle of my year-end goal planning for the next 5 years, because it's
Oh,
been
good for
5.
you. That's amazing. You do that. That's like a huge thing, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean, some of it works out, some of it doesn't, right?
Yeah.
But I
Yep.
did that when I first started here, and it's been almost 5 years. So
Okay.
I am, it's end of the year, so I'm going to be thinking about the next 5 years. And I actually just opened my office in San Diego. So I have the office, and it's actually Los Angeles. And now the satellite office is the San Diego office. So I actually do plan on building that practice more in the next 5 years, kind of taking it home to where I grew up.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
That's amazing. Congratulations. So how many employees do you have?
There's 2 of us attorneys here, and then we have 2, I have to count, we have 2 paralegals, we have an
Okay.
assistant, a billing associate,
Wow.
Medi-Cal expert, and her assistant. So 8.
Wow. That's great. And you're getting it rolling in San Diego too.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
great.
the 2 of us in San Diego right now.
Congratulations.
We're just gonna
So
duplicate the process and
yeah, that's it.
right?
That's it.
Yeah.
What I'm just curious, like, what's your main form of getting business? Is it word of mouth? Are you out there, and is it the social media? Is it advertisements?
When I first started in my career, I was doing a lot of seminars and things like
Yep.
that, trying to get out there in the community. And now,
Referral.
honestly, I have a maintenance program, and I get a ton of referrals. I'm not joking when I say go out there and meet other attorneys, all attorneys, because they're going to be your best resources. For
Yeah.
me, referring back and forth, quality referrals are always from other attorneys.
Yep.
I've kept in contact with my alumni, and from all of those sources. I do monthly, newsletters and seminars,
Great.
in-house seminars now, and things like that. And I focus really on in-house
Yep.
servicing the clients that are already my clients, and servicing and getting to know their families. They're successor trustees. It's really important for my office to really make sure that their next people in line and their documents we answer all their questions and bring them on board, and and get to know them, and
That's great.
it kind of just goes from there. So
No, I love to hear like the lawyer to lawyer networking is big, because that's what we're trying to do here at Lawyer Stories, is bring lawyers to lawyers. And
yeah, exactly, right.
yeah, and
And
so
so
if you ever see anybody out there that you want a warm introduction to, like, I'm more than happy to do it for you.
I would love that.
Yeah, for sure. Like, that's what we're gonna do. We're working on a website that's gonna be doing that for everybody, and so that's like sort of where we're headed. So
And nowadays I have the opportunity to pick and choose causes that I want to be involved in, and go and be involved in those causes. And I
Yep.
meet people, I get to help people, and they refer me clients too. So it's
yeah,
been amazing. Yeah.
no, that's all. So you would never change it for anything, having your own firm. That's
No.
terrific. Yeah, that's so we've asked for your opinions on like advice. So like, what would you tell more specifically? What is any advice to those wanting to be estate planning attorneys?
Estate planning attorneys, you need to go get that experience. So whatever it is, any aspect of estate planning, go intern, go get that experience. There aren't actually that many estate planning firms to get experience from. So once you're in, you're in. But if you start out doing other stuff, other areas of law or whatnot, it's just so much harder to get in after that. So I would say get that experience very early on.
Like, what do they have you doing? As like, say you had an intern who wanted to get some experience, like what would you have them doing?
Well, they will start doing things like scanning my files.
Okay. Well,
Well, because it's a process, right? I'm like, you need to learn the files. So there's an
Right.
order to everything.
Okay, that's
You're
fair.
scanning my files, you're seeing the documents that I present, my intake forms, all of that, and someone's going to do it, right?
Hey, you know what? I worked
So,
at a law firm and they had me shredding the paper. They called me the
yeah,
shredder all summer.
yeah. So actually, they don't get to shred.
Yeah,
My assistant gets to shred because she knows what to shred,
that's true.
right?
Okay, yeah,
You're just scanning the files at this point, right? But then you get to really know the files, and then
yeah,
you start shadowing. So you'll shadow me one day, you'll shadow one of the paralegals one day, you'll do things like that, right? But it's going to
okay,
give you a good broad idea as to what's going on in the firm. I've had them shadow me in court. Those are
okay,
always fun. So
yeah.
they get to talk
That's,
to everyone in court and the bailiff, and everyone gets to make everyone, people are so, attorneys that are now attorneys can be a little mean. And they're, it's all in jest, but they're like, oh,
yeah,
you really want to do that or whatnot, and we're in court, so leave them alone. Just show them the experience
yeah,
of being in court. Yeah, but it's really fun, and they get to be exposed to all aspects of it.
that's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. So you sound like a great mentor. So hopefully anybody working with you sounds lucky. They get to learn the file and then go to court. That's great.
I actually, right now, my firm is an all-female firm.
Is it really?
So it is, and we didn't plan it or anything like
Amazing.
that, but we're an all-female firm and we're having a lot of
Congratulations. That's great. That's terrific. So is there anything else like we left out that you want to share with like the Lawyer Stories community? I know we
fun.
started from the beginning and we kind of got your advice on some stuff and talked about what you're doing. And I don't know if there's anything else that we're missing out.
I always tell people too, now I'm finding, especially, I don't know where I am in my career, mid-career or whatnot, I don't know. Hopefully, find out other outlets, things that you love.
Find other outlets.
So important.
So what's that for you?
For me, it's,
Yeah.
well, I love snowboarding and surfing and playing the
Okay.
ukulele, and I'm an island girl, so
If you
stuff
had
like that.
if you had your ukulele right there, which I don't know if you do or not, would you be willing to play something or no?
Don't do
Okay.
that to me.
Well, I don't know. That's why I'm saying if you did have it there, I don't know if you do or not.
I happen to have my ukulele, but you knew that.
You do? Oh, come on. You're not supposed to tell everybody I knew that. All right. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I totally agree. You got to have some sort of outlets.
Definitely, yeah.
Snowboarding and
Make sure you take your lunches. It's
take
so
lunch.
important.
Yeah.
And it's okay. Those first how many years? Well, I don't know if it's 5 years or whatnot for me. The first 5 years, the learning curve was so steep.
Yeah.
I might have cried every day. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was an amazing learning experience. And
Yeah.
it's okay.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations to you and all your success. You have a wonderful website too. I would definitely encourage everybody to check
I
out.
think we have the same color scheme,
We do, yeah.
the black and
I
gold.
think so, yeah. Yeah, I like it. I'm going with it for now.
Did you pick that for a certain reason, or was it?
Well, I mean, my last name's Gold, but I didn't really pick it
Uh-huh.
for a certain reason. I kind of just happened,
Yeah.
I bought these. I was peddling these hats actually, and they kind of came out to look like Boston Bruins colors. They're like black and gold, or black and yellow. But
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. So how about you? Do you have a significance behind your colors?
I do.
Well,
I
tell us.
do. Yeah. So black and gold, I mean, they're actually quite nice colors together, right?
Yeah,
So,
totally.
but I actually, I love actually, crystals and mysticism and things like that too. So, have you ever read The Alchemist?
Yes.
So alchemy is turning lead to gold. So
I have a
that's why I
copy of
chose
The
those
Alchemist
colors.
right over here in my
Mhm.
bookshelf. Yeah.
That's why I chose those colors. Alchemy.
Really?
Yeah.
Alchemy. What's the line that you use from The Alchemist? Say it again.
Oh no, well, I mean, it's just turning lead to gold.
Turning
So
lead to gold. Okay.
black and gold. Yeah, but my tagline at the office actually is your life, your legacy. It's on everything. So,
That's
but it
awesome.
really is. It's
Great.
your life and it's your legacy. So we're just here to help put that in writing and, make sure that your legacy is here for when you're gone.
So actually, one more question. Like, do you need when you're doing an estate plan for somebody, do they have to be in your jurisdiction? They have to be
California.
California. Okay. All right.
If it's
Yeah, 'cause
California based.
Because the
plan.
estate rules are different state to state. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I love that. I love that you included, have outlets, have things that you do. And you said you surf. You said you surf and snowboard and play the ukulele. That's great. Anything? What else do we miss? Was there anything else you wanted to add?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, I think
that's good.
I think you did a great job. We congratulate you. Thanks again for all your support with Lawyer Stories over the past few years. Hope everybody goes back and checks out your story back from April 10th, 2018. We should update that. Send me an updated story and we'll get you out.
I will, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Congrats on your success, starting your own firm. Nice estate planning firm there in San Diego and in Claremont.
Mm-hmm.
And stay right there. And thanks for tuning in, everybody. Don't forget to check us out, lawyer_stories, and share with your friends. Wherever you are in the world today, enjoy yourselves. Cheers.